Well, welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack, everybody. Um, you can see the bowls turning out pretty nice. I've got to do some little touch-ups in here, and still get the rings out, but it's actually coming out pretty good, better than I thought it would. I think the outside is getting pretty close to being finished. Now, a couple of things about doing stuff like this. Now, one of the things that I have an issue with is sanding on end grains, and that goes with kind of like the territory. So I kind of self-induced it. But if you want, if you want to have a bowl looking like this, that's pretty much the only way you can do it. Um, there's another way of doing, another two ways of doing uh, segmenting, and one is this way. The other one is going the end grains up, which is actually not a bad deal because usually I put a bottom on it, so the end grain's on the bottom of whatever I'm doing this way, and you don't have a lot of sanding issues other than when you gouge it out down to where you want it. And that's not a big deal because you're not using as much wood that way. The third way is the common way with the rings, and it's a little bit more time consuming, but the only downfall about that is the edge of the end grains. You hide the end grains because they're all glued together because you're making like a hexagonal like thing. But the end grains, and so the end grains are hidden because they're all glued together. The only problem that I have with that is it doesn't show much of a grain because you only have 3/4 of an inch. Even if you get 1 inch or 2 inch stock, you're not showing. You have to get the stock that's bigger and figure out a way to show the grains where you're not, let's say, where you're not covering grains up. When you do segmenting, a lot of people like to do it that way, and there's beautiful bowls. I'm not knocking it. A lot of guys do a lot better job of this stuff than I do, but this is my forte. And doing raw wood. This is the way I like doing it. Is it going to give me an award? Probably not. But I'm not looking for that. I like doing what I'm doing. This is the only thing I could tell people if they start out with a lathe. Do something you like to do. Don't let somebody else tell you otherwise. If you want to be like that other guy, go ahead. I've had too many people come up to me and say, "You need to do this. You need this." I had this last weekend. I'm like, I don't care. Because if I change it around to please you, I'm not pleasing me. So, anyway, so today, what I'm going to focus on is a little bit of this. Now, I angled these cuts on here on purpose. Now, the only thing I have left to do is cut the corner off a little bit. But here's my idea with this. Okay, so I'm not going to take and go circle, I'm not going to go around all the way here because I want to take and do a kind of an oddball shaped bowl. I don't know if it's going to work that way, but I don't have much room on this side. I got about 1/4 of an inch on either, an eighth of an inch on either side. So I don't know how that's going to be, but I have to knock the corners off so I don't rip into them. That's the biggest thing. The reason, and my bandsaw is not big enough to cut something this size. I mean, I could try it and see what happens, but hey, Wade, how you doing, buddy? What are you doing off? You on lunch break or something, bud? Anyway, this is a piece of monkey pod. Um, Two things to say to people that are local. Batavia Hardwoods on McKee Street, just before you get to 31. That's where I've been getting my stuff. Now, this one came from Hawaii. I brought it back, but if you ever get wood, and this is where I spend a lot of time searching for stuff. Um, Most of the time, if I'm here in town, I'll get stuff at Batavia Hardwoods in Batavia because it saves me from driving way the heck out at anything that's past like 15, 20 miles out of town. It saves you gas. By the time you pay the gas, even if it's cheaper out there, you're paying it in gas. So Oh, thanks. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome to the show. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead. Do that for me, would you? I appreciate it. What do you think of the bowl, Wade? I gotta find my. This thing is kind of heavy. Um, I have to do some work on it, but yeah. See, now see, I have rings in there. See, there's rings, so that's gonna take some time to work on. And that's common. That's only because I think some of my tools are getting dull, but and then there's some inside, but it's not bad. Now, people ask me how come I don't go down to the brown. How come I don't go down to the walnut? Well, I think I like to show this off. This looks better to me than this. So, I mean, it doesn't mean I won't, but I picture with all the time I spent with this, why did I waste so much wood if I'm just going to show the edges? And that's where the other segmenting idea comes in. When you segment the rings, like this, then you're only seeing it on the edge, right? You're not seeing it in the middle, and you're not seeing the bottom, right? So I like doing it this way. It shows off a little bit. Now, the only thing I can tell you is you do waste a lot of wood doing this way, but it's still, it's up to you how you want it. A lot of guys like to go the other way that I just showed you, but I can do it too. I'd rather do it this way. I mean, I'm kind of a goofball when it comes to stuff like this anyway. I'm the one that makes sawdust bowls. So, okay, here's another thing. I was playing around one day with cutoffs, and I made a couple of eggs. And so I was goofing around with that. But yeah, these are just cutoffs from cutting the corners off of stuff like this. If you cut it right, if you measure it and cut them all four the same size, then you can glue this together. Hey, Snow Crusher, how's it going, buddy? How you guys doing? Now I got a new one, Sugar Water. Nice to meet you. If you haven't subscribed to me, go ahead, add you to my list so that when I do stuff, you guys can see me. So, whether you want to or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to do some minor stuff on that, but I want to show you what I was going to do next. I'm supposed to be getting another chuck, faceplate that goes on here, so I can finish that, finish that bowl I was working on. Now this is a Barracuda 2 chuck, all right. I know some guys like Novas and stuff like that, but and I'd probably get a Nova in the future too. They have two of them. It's kind of smart, don't you think? The only thing I don't have on mine is that the regular chuck, like a drill press chuck on that end, and I need to get one, to be honest with you, but I've got a drill press over there, so here's the grabber. Okay, so I've already made my hole. Now, there's a couple of ways you could do this. All right, I've got an X mark on here, right? So what you would do with this, if you want to make sure, if your wood's out of whack, it's not true, or it's an oddball shape, use, but you got to put it aside. You're going to be gouging out for the inside. Don't put it on the bottom because then you got holes sticking out, right? So this thing here is another chuck, basically, and you line it up with the hole, with the lines, with your lines you drew. You center it, and what happens is you put it on like this. Now I don't need to do it with this because it's oddball, but when you put this on, all right, that'll hold this like this, and then you could do the bottom if you want to do a mortise or tenon thing. You could do that, or not nothing. You could just leave that, and there's several different ways you could do that. But this the way usually all lathes come with this. All right, so this comes on here. The only thing you won't get is your tools. So you have to buy that separately, and there's a wide range of it. So okay, so now what I want to do with this, I gotta find my hammer. I'm surprised you guys are on here because I've been having problems with my internet. Okay, so the other night I was on with Connie, and it went blank, and I couldn't get back on. Then Robin, I don't know where Robin's at. So I haven't seen her. I haven't been getting notices. And then John's the other one. John's gone. I mean, his whole thing is gone. So I don't know. I'm not getting anybody anymore. So kind of a bummer. But all right, I'm going to cut this off real quick. Now, any of you guys seen this before? So this is kind of my dust box right in here. It's hard to show you guys that, but I usually cut everything off in here because everything spits this way. And it's easier to clean up, instead of going all over the place. And everything I have is on wheels. I have to be portable anyway, so make sure it's on 45. Now, I'm doing it on this side and not that side. There's no room for one, but it's dangerous doing it the other way. So you want to do it this side. Or so I got to do it this way. That's the only problem I have, is I'm right-handed. Doing it that way is kind of awkward. So now, then I have to go back here, and I'm going to set this knob and lock it. Now I've got an idea where I want to cut this off at. Forgot to turn my air purifier on. Woo! Okay, so now you want to lock this thing down. When you put it away, unplug it. Normally I vacuum these things up when I'm done, but all right. So now we got that done, right? Now, what I'm going to do here, bring all my stuff down here. I wish I could play music for you guys, but I'd get tagged by somebody. So, ah. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here like this. And see if my hole is straight, because I don't know if it is or not. See, that's the only problem with doing wood like this. Sometimes if it's out of whack, you know it right away. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh, it's not too bad at all. Okay, so my goal here is to carve this down a little bit. So the only thing is, I don't want to round the bowl. I'm kind of playing with an idea here, so it might not work. It might. What I'll do is I'm going to carve this out a little bit. I want to have it like an oval-shaped look to it. It might not be the right place. A piece for too much. I might not do it. So. Start to be like I'm gonna start doing it on this channel, right? Whether people like it or not. A crafter's corner. Now I know John is doing crocheting, and I don't know. I mean, other people do, like maybe you do some jewelry making, but I think it's cool. But I'd like to share it with other people, and I believe if you want to be part of my team. Calls the Dutchmans team, and so everybody that joins me, not join on there, but everybody who wants to be a subscriber, fine. I'm not going to charge people. I don't believe in that. Okay, maybe that's the reason why I'm not present with join. Like Connie and Rob, maybe that's the reason why I'm not on there. Is because I didn't join. It's nothing against you guys, but I did that once. It cost me $10,000. By the time I add up all this stuff from everybody, no, I can't do that. Mine's going to be as free as long as I can keep that way. So, anyway, so now that I got this, I'll shut up here and I'll try and see if I can do something. Barring that my tools are sharp enough. So, what I'm going to do, I like to use carbide. Oh, see, my internet's going in and out. Sorry, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I guess I can't. That's the problem I have in this darn place. Not enough room. Okay, so what I was saying about Crafter, she does fuse glass. We both belong to a couple of art studios. And by the way, I didn't learn this. I can self-taught. I always tried to get somebody to teach me, and I had self-taught this. But I learned a lot from my two clubs, so there you go. All right, so I'm going to be using this. Okay, so now my idea here, as you can see, is I'm whittling away. And what I want to do is come up here a little bit, take a little of these corners off, and see how close to like a egg shape I can get. If it gets to a certain point, yeah, and I can't, it won't work. I'll just have to stick with just a regular one, get a bigger one. So I decided to do it. Like some of this wood I got was oddball shaped to begin with. Like I had some pieces that were this big. They were they were more long than they were width, and I had to do some kind of alternating. That's just part of the job. For all those that are new to me, I want to say thank you again. I'm a turner. I'm also a woodworker. As right now, I'm working on several different pieces. By the way, this one I'm finishing. This is a honey nut. Um, this is an in nightstand I made a while ago. I had some issues with the front, so I'm restaining it. And I'm also making this. So the problem is, I had to get some stuff done for my art show. So I'm making my own legs. This whole thing is going to be made out of 100% oak wood flooring. And what I did with that is this is how I went about that. So I can teach you how to do that too. If you have a lathe, it's pretty simple. It's not a big deal. There's two things that I did wrong with this. Didn't realize it till after it's set. I'll go into that later. I'm going to try and work on this. So, yeah, Jonathan, what were you asking there? But oh, I see you just made a funny face. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to try and turn this. Stand by for a second. I'll see what I can come up with. Now, if you see how this is coming out a little bit, right? Now, one side, that side is wider than this. Weird. This is the way it was cut. Well, my idea was to go like this on both sides. So, somehow it got off. I thought that, these are my measurements again. It's easy to screw up, but I'm gonna take it down as far as I can first. Okay, so now that turned out the way it's kind of turning out halfway decent. Okay, so I rounded this part out, and I rounded this part out pretty much for the most of it. Now, this down here might play a little havoc, but I'm going to carve this out a little bit. Well, I'm not worried about this so much. I kind of designed it the way I wanted to do this. I did screw up though, and most of you don't know where, but I could have left this on here instead, because I'm playing around the idea. Okay, so I ran this through the table saw at that angle right there, but that's not a big deal. So the other thing is, when I did this, a little bit there, maybe, no, maybe that's not it, but one side was off from the other side. That's, we're getting it square, I said square, but centered on here makes a big difference. Um, you'll just, and that's what happened with this. Okay, so the idea with me was to glue a bunch of wood together and have outside, the corners on the outside of these be the same. Well, see the difference? There's a piece of oak there, piece of oak there. See the difference between the width? And that's because I was off. But it's not a big deal. And I think it was because the piece of wood I have here wasn't as thick as the one that was here. So it's one of those things, when I cut it, I had to square it out. Things move around when you glue it, and I still have got to get to that point where this is the reason why people hate segmenting, because it's a pain in the butt to try and square up when you're doing this. Okay, so now that I got that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over it with a smoother a little bit. This is my smoother. Well, this is two, but this one's more, I have to basically work on that one. This one's more, it's wider. It's about an inch and a quarter, or an inch and eighth. I can use it to smooth, make this a little bit smoother for my gouging rings. Now, as you can see, when you're turning it, it wants to go up, not like this all the time. That's because I'm doing an all ball shape. If I was doing it normal, a round cut, it wouldn't be doing that as much. There's end grain here. There's a little bit of chip out right there. That's, to me, that's not the tool. That's basically the end grain giving in a little bit. And then there's this. It's not bad though, because when you go to this one here is a little bit different, a little bit of more of a gouge, and you can use different tools for this to smooth it out. Sometimes what I do is I just sand it. I'll use a rough sandpaper like 80 grit, get it down to where I want it. If it still leaves a ring, that means I have to go back with another tool. So I have some, this is 120. Oh yeah, this is the other thing. When you're doing this, because it's oddball, it's very difficult. So sometimes just doing this with a hand sander or palm sander makes difference. Plus sharp tools. I think that one tool is getting kind of dull. Okay, so you can see I have a little bit more work to do on there. So Okay, so now that I'm straightened up a little bit on there. Um, Again, goes back to how much you want to sand. And when you're sanding this stuff, you got to be real careful. On an oddball shaped thing like this. So this is not bad, but what's going to happen in the end? I'm going to have. This is where you know your tools are not sharp. There's a little bit here. If I were to use the other tool that I was using, the other bowl gouge, it would do the same thing. It's just when you're trying to get down to this infinite little thing, it'll do that. Now, so I want to just round this off a little bit. Now, usually when I'm doing stuff, I like to start out doing the edges really easily, because what will happen is it'll chip on you. With me, in my experience, my opinion is if you don't work on your corners, you'll have chip outs. And the other thing is too, if you don't have sharp tools, that'll work. That'll be it that way. So now. Like that. Now, I just wanted to round it off to make it so it won't chip out. So now, you see there's a little bit of grain in here. That might be interesting. We'll see how that works. Here's my big thing with grain. Okay, I always talk about grain. I'm a tree guy. Yes, I'm a tree hugger. All right. But see, when I was talking about grain, you're getting a multicolored kind of bowl. You see that? So you want to look for, when I gouge this out, you want to look for different kinds of grain that's going to show up. Now, if you were to do this on a regular bowl, the way they're put them together, the normal size, like this, you'd never get that. You'd barely get that on here. Now, I don't normally have a problem with that, okay? But again, you're missing out on all the fun, all the good stuff, doing it like before. Okay, so you see the distance between here and here and here, it's a little off, right? So, and then wider here. So what you want to do sometimes, since I'm not going to put a 10 and Ora motors on this, because I got told not to last time. So, what I could do is put this back on. This time I'm reversing it and I'm doing it this way. Okay, so I'm hoping that gouge doesn't hurt. Anyway, and I'm going to take a pencil. If I can find one. Look at it. And I'm going to mark it. Okay, so my plan is probably right about there. Must have been made in China. internal center. So that's telling me one thing. Is I say flatten this out so it's square, and then I can start again. So the center point is a little off, but it's not bad. So what I normally do now is just basically flatten this off a little bit, and then I'll redo that again. Preferably not with a Chinese-made pencil. This is made by an American in America, by the way. I don't pull no strings. It's all no extras, no ups and no extras. I sell my bowls for $49.95. No ups. The wrong one. Okay, so now I pretty much got that square. You don't see wobbling. See, that's the other thing. If you have wobbles on this, you can take care of that anytime. All right. For all you guys that are watching that hasn't subscribe to me. You'll get anything you want to hear and see from me. I encourage you to leave me a message if you like or don't like my stuff, or what you prefer to see, because I can basically babble on. People out there that know me know that. So, and I like to just have fun with what I'm doing. That's part of it. I'm not like all the rest of the guys. I'm not blasé. I don't put music behind it, although I could, but I won't, because I like to talk about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And you know what? To all those people who think I'm doing it the wrong way, well, you can just bleep, 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 bleep. No, I'm just kidding. So now what I'm going to do is go back with my pencil. And what do you say? Right about there, I think. Let's see how smooth that was last time. And see, from here to here is a little bit different than from here to here. Just a shave off, but they're close enough. Okay, so and this is another thing about getting things centered. You can center it by shaving this all off. If I wanted to go full force and take it all the way down and go down to the edge of that, normally I go from about here to there. This is the piece I would save. And that would be gouging this out. Well, I'm still saving it, but this would be rounded off to whatever this is. In other words, from here down, that's where I would probably. So that's a good 1/4 inch, right? So when I design my bowls, it just happens. It just happens. Not one bowl I've made in my life has been the same thing twice, because I look at it this way, guys. You know all these artists out there, once they die, all of a sudden they get famous, and their families rake in all the money, right? Well, I figured that someday, if I make only one bowl, that one bowl will be worth a fortune, and my wife can make it, end up making the money. So, anyway, that's what I'm doing there. Now I'm going to start gouging a little bit. Now, see what I did a little bit. I kind of aimed it in a little bit. I'm going to do that with this a little bit here too. But when I usually gouge stuff out, okay, so this wall and that wall is going to be the thinnest walls. Now that's going to be you want to be able to not go too far with it as far as when you're rough gouging it out. So yeah, that's the other thing. You have to. This is where experience comes in. You have to allow for so much room that when will depend upon what type of wood you're using. If it's softwood, you're going to go through a lot of wood real quick. You're going to go through fast. So sanding it, you probably want to be able to allow like maybe a 16th or two, maybe an eighth of an inch rough gouge that you're going to take off. When I use these, for instance, these things on this one like this, it'll probably, with this shape, I don't need to use it. I'll just be using the bowl gouge all the way through, and then some other stuff. But if I'm shaping it, you kind of want to allow so much in the finish work of it, because you'll take anywhere from 2/16 off to an eighth of an inch, just sanding and finishing and sanding and finishing. That's been my experience. For somebody that's starting out on it, I just say get a piece of pine. You want to make your own bowl, 1 2x4, you can make a whole bunch of bowls out of, and just practice. It's cheap. My whole entire life it's been like that. I used to build houses. I read things. I learned from my contractor buddies. I had a guy actually teach me woodworking when I first started out, some 40 odd years ago. He let me do everything in the house. I mean, from ground up concrete to, we used to do plaster walls because it was out west instead of just standard drywall. And I did plastering too, but it stuck on the outside. Now, that's brutal. That's brutal. Two things I can't stand is stuccoing and drywall. Can't stand it. Anyway, pallet wood. That bowl that you saw that I have down there, a lot of that is trim wood off baseboards and window trim off of 1890s house. The brown stuff is mahogany. And then to get some of the other stuff, there's those pallets you get to a wood store. You go in there, they give you samples of strips of wood that they have varnish on. That's from a lot of that too. I think there's 2 pieces in there that are koa wood, and I got them myself from Hawaii. Does that make the bowl cheap? No. It saves money. I can lower the price down of what I'm selling that way. But here's the thing. If you're learning on stuff so you don't spend a lot of money, like this thing here, that thing cost me about, when it was 8 foot long, it cost me about $40. Or 6 foot long, I think. So, there you go. Anyway, I'm going to get off right now. I'm going to take a break. I got to go check and see my mail. And I got to figure this out. I have this now instead of me trying to make my own. So there's no excuse why I could do, So I got to figure that out too. But we'll see if this works. It's for a Barracuda too. So Penn State Industries is where I got it. All right. So it's kind of a I got this from Amazon. So if you're smart, you go on Amazon and get a discount. Shop on Amazon, people. You won't be surprised if you go straight to the horse's mouth. It costs you too much money. You gotta go through a site. You save yourself money. So anyway, I'm gonna let you go. I'll be back on tonight. God bless you guys. Again, leave me a message. Tell me what you think. Is it crap or is it not crap? And I'll have I might have a party with it. I want to do a contest. I want to do a challenge with you guys. First one will be for the Turners. Okay, but when I do that challenge, I'm going to say, okay, and I'll make something. I'll have something I've made in the past, and I'll give it away to whoever wins. All right. Anyway, and we have to all vote on this. So I got to figure out how it's going to work. Anyway, bless you guys. Have a great rest of the Wednesday. It's hump week. You're going back down to the weekend. And be safe. God bless. Oh, yeah. If you're on Facebook, I'm on Facebook too. And I'm also on Instagram, but that's going to go away because there's too many there's scammers on there. But I wanted to say on Facebook, I'm dedicating my page from here on out for the summer, basically to wildland firefighting and emergency service workers, because I used to be one. They're taking a big hit. Their resources this year are stretched beyond belief. It's one of the worst fire seasons, start of early actually, that there's ever been. So yeah, they've already lost some lives. So all I can do is tell you guys, pray, please pray for those guys. Because trust me, I've done it. You're busting your hump. You really, to work with other people that you don't even know, it's hard. It's difficult. God bless. See ya.